and welcome to Gay by Gay. My name's Adam.
I'm JJ.
And today we're going to talk about weed.
Oh boy.
You've obviously never smoked weed.
Yes, that is very obvious. Thank you for saying that, Adam.
Well, because you've never had a cup of coffee either.
I know. I have gone out of my way to avoid all sinful substances. But you are a noted chronic pothead.
It's surprising I'm not smoking it right now, to be honest. I have my medical marijuana license.
What? This is quack medicine, Adam. What could you possibly have that you only smoking pot can cure?
Migraines. I got my medical marijuana license because I live in Vancouver. There are a ton of these dispensaries opening up, and I genuinely was just curious. I really don't smoke that much pot. Before I got my medical marijuana license, I maybe like twice in a year.
When you were in high school, was there a lot of potheads? No?
I mean, I ran in, I was in French immersion and hanging out with drama kids.
See, when I grew up, when I was in high school, I remember it being quite present. Like, I remember that there was like a lot of kids that were known to be stoners and burnouts and this kind of thing.
And it was... Well, from your perspective, certainly, but was it generally seen as like those people were losers or they were cool?
I do feel like that there was a lot of like dummies that would have been regarded as such.
Yeah.
Who were known to be
I think it was too when I was in school. Again, yeah, you're right, because of our upbringing. I remember it just being like, people who smoked pot, it seemed like they smoked like constantly because they were so just like they were burnouts.
People that are into pot are like so into it.
Well, it's an identity, right? I think a lot of people get into it because it maybe starts there. They have someone that they idolize, like a Kurt Cobain or Snoop Dogg or whatever.
All of these guys that the young people today are into.
In 1992. But you start to model yourself after that, and then you become a part of the culture, and you surround yourself with that culture, and it becomes, just like people who really embrace being gay as their kind of culture. They really get into it and they stick to it. So you're against the legalization of it.
Yeah.
Why?
I just don't think that there's any case to be made for why more people should be doing drugs. Why we need a society that has more sort of toxic chemicals present, right? I mean, people make this case and they'll say like, well, alcohol's legal and, antidepressants are legal and, caffeine is legal and this is legal and that's legal.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I agree. And I don't think that society is improved by that presence.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a very uphill fight to make rhetorically, politically, all the rest of it, to say that, well, what we need is more of this kind of stuff. We need more people escaping their lives, through chemical-induced states of inebriation.
Do you think that legalizing it would increase the numbers of people who are doing it by that much?
Obviously it would. I mean, you legalize anything and there's going to be more consumption of it because it's no longer stigmatized in the same way. Like we talked about now, how like we conceptualized, the stoners and the burnouts when we were young, and that stigma was in part because it was an illegal substance, and that we lived in a society that said this is a bad thing that bad people do.
Don't you think that there would be more kind of regulation and safety and research and stuff done?
I know that this is what the government of this country has been saying, is that by legalizing marijuana, that we're going to do what you said, like we're going to regulate it, we're going to keep it out of the hands of children. And I just don't really see how you get that genie back in the bottle. I mean, you walk around in a city like Vancouver where it is still technically illegal and it's just present everywhere. People are just flouting the law openly because they know the cops won't enforce the law. And, they've kind of made peace with this status quo, and the whole marijuana industry has grown up around that status quo. And so the idea that the government is going to come in and say, okay, we're going to legalize it, but we're also going to crack down on, illegal distribution, unauthorized vendors and all this other kind of stuff, because that doesn't really answer the question, right? The question that people are supposedly trying to resolve with this is that, people shouldn't be punished for consuming this harmless substance. So it becomes very difficult to get from that sort of mindset to the mindset where you have government coming in and suddenly saying, well, we're actually going to enforce these very strict rules around it, and we're going to shut down places and make them pay, licensing fees.
You're very passionate about this.
I am passionate because I do think it's a very destructive social trend. I don't think that drug use is a good thing, and I think that we're a healthier society when we stigmatize drug use. Does that mean that everybody who smokes a single marijuana cigarette should go in prison? I don't think so, but I think that as a society we have to have some sort of standards about acceptable behavior and productive behavior, and sort of a good set of lessons for kids that are growing up in this society.
No, I get it. I totally get it, but I do smoke it. I enjoy it in the same way that I enjoy alcohol. In a different way. It kind of, it relaxes you and it does all sorts of things. But I'm also fairly confident it would never become like a major focal point of who I am. It would never dominate my life.
But I mean, you're sort of a privileged person in a lot of ways. You know, you're educated, you understand
certainly
these kinds of things. You know, you have self-control.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And these qualities, and you know, the people. It's just much like alcohol, right? It's like, you know, the alcohol companies are not making all of their money from the you know, the casual snifter of port at Christmas set, right? They're making their money from the chronic users. I mean, this is basically how so many industries work. It's like you legalize marijuana, you legalize any drug, you're just basically giving some people the right to get very rich off of a chemical dependency of others. People that are spending way too much of their money on this drug that they're using to escape the misery of their lives, and that's just not a society.
I don't think that that's true, JJ. I don't think that it's people escaping the misery of their lives.
Well, then why else would they do it? I mean, that's the whole point of marijuana, is that you're sort of entering this kind of inebriated state that is somehow more pleasurable than the dreary existence that you live the rest of your life.
Or it's to heighten the joy they already feel in life, is the optimist's way of looking at it. There are people out there who devote themselves to justifying it. There are people out there who have all the statistics at the ready about how safe it is, about how whatever it is, about all the positive benefits, including things like, you know, some people do use it for medical purposes. Some people do, you know, they don't need it, but they use it to sleep, they use it to whatever. In some way it improves their lives. I don't have a great justification for why I use it, for why anyone uses it. I just don't know enough. But that is kind of justification in itself. I'm not hooked on it. And in that way, I think it's, you know, I don't know.
Well, let's hear what the lovely viewers have to say, right?
God, I apologize, first of all.
Yes, because there's nothing that makes a comment thread more engaging than opening the floodgates of the drug legalization talk.
You know what you need?
What do I need?
Weed!
Oh, yes.